Sports fans, how y'all doing? This is my #1 video, and my name's Tom, and I was up watching on Facebook, not Facebook, the other day. I was on YouTube. What am I thinking? YouTube, and I was just perusing around, seeing what was going on. And I went to Fake Media. He's one of the few that not the few, but he's one of the ones that I go to on a regular basis for all of his knowledge and technical skills. And he was conversing about YouTube's new policy that they were changing, how many subscribers you needed, how many hours of watching you needed before they would be able to monetize. And that, because of that, it was hurting some of the smaller YouTube creators. And the theme of what he was talking about is it too late to start a YouTube channel? Well, like I said, I've been around YouTube for a long time, not a long time, but for a while. And so I posted a comment that said something to the effect that, well, I'm 79 years old, I don't know if I can do that. And all of a sudden I got about a dozen replies from various people who watch his channel. And I was absolutely amazed. I mean, everybody said, yeah, go for it, do it. Give it a try. Good luck. And then today I happened to notice a comment from a 15-year-old boy. And he said he was going to start a channel. I wished him luck too. So I've done occasional Facebook live postings similar to what I'm going to do now. And so I'm kind of a generalist for the moment. I don't have a specific point of content. Right now, like I said, I'm an observer of the political situations as they exist now. I have various interests. Photography, of course, is one of them. I just bought a brand new Nikon D3300, and this is one of the reasons that I bought it. And so I've been trying that out for a while. And then I enjoy photographing airplanes, aviation. I volunteer at the local air show every year. And also that I volunteer at the local railroad museum. I've been a member I've been volunteering for the last 9 or 10 years. And I think it was 2014, I was the City of Temple Parks and Leisure Department Volunteer of the Year Award. Generally you get a volunteer of whatever entity, like the Railroad Museum. I was going to get the volunteer of the Railroad Museum for the year. And then because of all my volunteer participations, I do school tours, we do family days, and I do volunteer work, hammers, nails, paintbrush, etc. So I do a lot of that stuff. And I'm a rail fan, obviously, with the museum. The railroads run right by the museum. We're one of the fortunate ones that we're trackside, so to speak. So I get to see a lot of that going on. And various other volunteer activities. I belong to the Bell County Historical Commission. As a matter of fact, I just resigned my chairmanship. I've got an interest in the Civil War. My great-grandfather was in the Civil War, so I have an interest in that. And just a whole bunch of stuff. Excuse me, I'm going to have a frog in my throat. So that's mostly what I do. I am, of course, retired. Retired as a purchasing and transportation manager in the retail sporting goods industry. And I'm retired military, served 4 years in the Navy, 17 years in the Air Force Reserve. So I've got my 20 years. And so this is kind of the stuff I like to do. I have what I like to think of as an inquiring mind. You know, one of those things the citizen on the street wants to know. Well, what is this stuff all about? So we're going to try to answer. And as you can tell, I'm somewhat animated. And I talk with my hands. And I don't sit still. So the other people that I do follow, of course, Casey Neistat. I don't know whether I stumbled across him or I just ran across him. And so I've been following him ever since. And I noticed he just changed his hairstyle and he seems to be a little more glitzy Hollywood type. But I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Plus he just quit his beam operation that he sold off to CNN, and then CNN turned around and looks like they're going to dump the whole project. So don't know what's happening to the rest of those people. And then of course there's Phil DeFranco. He's a fast talker. I sometimes wish he'd slow down a little bit so I could really understand what he's talking about. And then Peter McKinnon, he's a buddy of Casey and the whole group that does a lot of this stuff. And of course, Think Media. Boogie 2988. That's an interesting story. He's, seriously overweight, had the stomach tied up, and he's slowly but surely losing weight. And so I keep up with him. He's got a good character. Then when I go into music, one of my favorites for a while was Puddle's Pity Party. Unique situation as a white-faced clown with a hell of a voice. And then one of the other choices I like is Postmodern Jukebox. They do a lot of jazzy stuff. And another group that I follow is Tuba Skinny. They do New Orleans old style street jazz music. And then the latest one that I just got interested in was Playing for Change. It's an international organization that involves musicians. They pick a song and then all the different parts are integrated from musicians all over the world. Pretty interesting stuff. And then, like I said, I'm a real fan, and there's a gentleman that I follow called Distant Signals. He does a lot of video work. I'm just absolutely amazed on the stuff that you find on YouTube. Not that I didn't know that. I mean, you can just punch up anything, any hobby, how to do this, how to do that, and YouTube. Not only do they tell you, how to do it, they show you how. I agree somewhat on the right, and I agree somewhat on the left. So I try not to take sides. Just try to figure out what they're talking about, either what's their justification or what's their documentation. Tell me the real story, and we can go from there. And I use the word administration a lot. That way I don't have to spell out names or anything else. It's just the current administration. And of course the leader, the elected individual who sits in the White House, he's our president. We collectively as a whole elected him. Now granted, there was some difference in the popular vote, but this system we have goes by the Electoral College. And the Electoral College said the current person sitting in the Oval Office is the President of the United States. So We have to respect the presidency of the United States. Yeah. So we go from there. So yes, he is the president, and we have to respect the office of the president. So one of the items of interest to me is the current administration said that they wanted to defund the International Space Station. Not talking immediately, they're talking somewhere in the vicinity of 2024. And that at that time, I believe they were looking to turn it into some commercial venture, a real estate deal, I don't know. But I can only assume it's very expensive because every time we go up, it cost us money, even though we were doing it by ourselves at first. Then we lost the space shuttle, and then so now we have to go with the Russians. And then hopefully SpaceX just had a successful heavy rocket launch, and that may be the future. So the other item in question lately has been the budget that was hammered out by the current administration in cooperation with the Congress and the Senate. And even though there are those in the administration who profess to be conservatives, it would appear that this budget is going to be slightly busted. That I don't think anybody expected a balanced budget. I think the last time we had one of those was back at Clinton days. So every year since, we always seem to be spending more than we take in. That just seems to be a way of life. But this current budget, which will probably add to the national debt, which is a 20 trillion. This may add close to another $1 trillion. And then the tax cut that was recently enacted, which so far everybody seems to be somewhat happy with it. Although when you look at the financial information from the Congressional Budget Office, that in the next 10 years it's going to add another $1.5 trillion to the national debt. So I don't know where we're going with that. And then of course we got the dreamers, we got the wall, we have infrastructure, national security, immigration reform is floating around. So there's a myriad of items that are kicking around and bubbling to the surface every once in a while. And of course now you have the so-called Russian investigation. So we'll see where that comes out. And then the last thing I'll talk about is the current sitting president indicated that sometime in the very near future he would like to have a military parade. I don't think we want to call it a victory parade because we're still fighting all over the world. But just a show of appreciation to the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the Marines, and the Coast Guard, and all the reserve outfits and the National Guard outfits, etc. And we go marching down the street in our Sunday best, and then it's followed by all of our weapons, so to speak. Show off the big stuff. Although we've seen a lot of it on TV in the last 14, 15 years between Iraq and Afghanistan. So just, that stuff is still going on. So I think this is basically it. We'll just take it from here. And like I said, this is the volume 1 of a start. And again, I'm not necessarily content centered yet, so more of this, maybe somewhat more of the same, but I'll try to get up to speed as I figure out the visual aspects, the audio aspects, etc., etc. So just me, being me as usual. So as my old friend Bob McLaughlin used to say on PBS every Friday night, bye bye for now. Thank you.